Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some in-depth stock analysis on JP Chase, ticker JPM. Now, why are we doing analysis on JP Morgan? Two main reasons. Firstly, it's down 2% today, and today's more of a mixed day in the market. You have quite a lot of stocks up, obviously a lot of stocks down, and JP Morgan is one of the ones that are currently down on the day, and also it has come into a very low risk buy area and now forming a divergence which could signal this could be near enough the bottom for JP Morgan, at least for the time being. So it just makes sense to drop some analysis on JP Morgan. So as always, we'll go through the normal process of analysing stocks, and that's going onto a clean daily chart so we can start seeing where the gap fills are. These gap fills we tend to use as profit targets, not so much as entries. Reason for that is for entries we like to use good strong statistical levels, so this will be the standard deviation channels, and then we don't mind using them for targets because they are usually areas where a lot of buying or selling pressure comes in, depending on what side the gap fill is happening, but not always strong enough to make it kind of be a reversal, which is what we're looking for if we're giving kind of if we're expecting kind of the price to reverse from that level. So to get straight into it, we are starting to see a lot of gaps starting to form, and that's just because the markets are kind of selling off quite heavily at the moment, so we're just seeing strong downward gaps. So we do have one around 138.25. We have created some in here, but we're just going to ignore them because there's so many altogether that there's going to be really no significance in these levels. This one though is quite defined. We could be looking at the 141, and then really we're going to be looking at the key one over here around 168. Really they're going to be the three main gaps we're looking at. The other ones we're not too focused on just because they've either been filled, such as this 158, or they're just kind of hidden or just not that very or not that obvious. And when we're looking for these as profit targets, we want them to be very obvious because we want them to be key levels where selling pressure may come in. So now anyway, we'll get on to kind of where we expect price to kind of reverse. So for that we will be on the standard deviation charts, and on the left you can see at 126, 127, that is the third deviation on the 4 hour. So when price comes down to this is really where you expect the bottom to be, and the reason we expect it to be the bottom is if you go over to the daily, you can see that the third deviation is at 132. So this does tell us more likely than not that this 127 will be the absolute bottom for JP Morgan. Obviously things can change, prices can obviously always continue down, but off a statistical basis this is where we would imagine the absolute bottom to be, and is why I'm personally buying it up on my account. But one of the things, and these standard deviations can be great for, is if you're looking more for investing or very long term kind of swings, or just swings in general. If you're buying at the third deviations, you tend to be getting a very good price, because it's a very discounted price in the past 188 days and at the past 1 year, depending on what chart you're looking at. So if it's at a third deviation, it tends to be very discounted, at least looking at the past year of data. So usually it's considered very low risk. But either way, buying anywhere from kind of 132 to 126 is considered very low risk, and if you can be getting in around this level, it's probably a good time to be getting in. Now, where are our targets going to be for these levels? We would expect some sort of a pullback to kind of happen around 135.50, and also around 140. They're not going to be areas though where we're going to really lock in any profits because we expect JP Morgan to go much higher than this. So 144 and 148 are going to be those next levels. Here we may start locking in some profits, moving stops, but overall we do expect it to go higher, and kind of that final target is going to be 153. Now, why is 153 going to be our final target on JP Morgan? If we're looking at it as a swing or just a trade in general, we want to be locking in profits as we come into the statistical mean, because this is where we know price is going to try and reverse to. Once price gets to here, it's a lot more of a gamble whether to go up or down, and that's why we tend to use whichever statistical mean is first as our final target. And we can see that 153 is a target and also 156 is a target, but as we can see obviously quite clearly that 153 is the lower of the two targets. That's going to be our final kind of lock in all our profits coming into that level. So really, looking at where we are now, so around 130, what kind of upside are we looking at on JP Morgan? To the 153, so our final target, we do have around 18% ROI, so obviously quite a good return. And if you are buying something like JP Morgan, obviously it's a very blue chip stock, probably the best financials to buy in the sense of stability, because Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, is one of his main focuses on any bank he does control, as you saw with I think it was Bank One, with JP Morgan. Really, anywhere he goes, he tries to get fortress balance sheets. So really, it just means if there is a recession or anything like that, JP Morgan will be relatively stable. I mean, it would be most likely the last at least US bank to default, and it's why you saw it in 2008. JP Morgan was the easiest, kind of standing the easiest out of all banks. They didn't really need to borrow any money from the government. It was more just encouraged, but again, they didn't really need it, and it's why it was paid back as well so quickly by them. So that's why JP Morgan is always a banking stock I tend to look to trade off of, because no matter what the market condition is, I'm always happy and kind of basically just always happy to hold JP Morgan stock. I would never be really worried to be holding it, and that's the main reason I focus on JP Morgan stock when we're doing financials analysis in general, or at least when we're looking at banks. So I hope you enjoyed the breakdown on JP Morgan Chase. If you did, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Hope you see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace. It only takes 4 or 5 seconds, we're about to fold. You're sinking or swimming.